Imagine a voice. I mean, a voice that just felt like it could touch the divine. Impossible purity, impossible power. That was Whitney Houston. It just stopped the world.
Yeah, unforgettable is really the only word, isn't it? From the very first note you heard, you knew it was something. Well, transcendent.
Absolutely. So today we're diving deep into the extraordinary journey of Whitney Houston, a life that hit these incredible highs of triumph, but also navigated some really profound personal turmoil.
We've been digging into a really comprehensive biography, trying to pull out the key moments, the surprising details, the things that really define her story.
Right. And our mission here is to try and get beyond the headlines, beyond just the icon, and understand the woman behind that incredible voice, what shaped her.
And maybe what her story, which is quite complex, can teach us about fame, about resilience, the search for authenticity, maybe.
Exactly. Think of this as your shortcut, sort of, to really grasping the whole picture of this musical legend's life. We're setting the stage right at the start. She was born in Newark, New Jersey, August 9, 1963.
And into a family where music wasn't just like a background thing, it was everything. The foundation.
Yeah, it really felt like almost from day one, she was destined for something huge.
And that musical lineage, you really can't overstate it. It's fundamental. Her mother, Emily Sissy Houston, I mean, a powerhouse gospel singer,
right?
Performed with Aretha, with Elvis Presley. That's not just talent. That's like royalty.
Seriously. And it didn't stop there. Her aunts were Diane and Dee Warwick, acclaimed singers. So Whitney's just growing up surrounded by these giants.
Yeah, masters of their craft.
Exactly.
And her earliest experiences, the really formative ones, were right there in the New Hope Baptist Church Choir in Newark. That was her first stage.
Yeah.
Her training ground.
Under Sissy's guidance, right. Who is known for being pretty disciplined.
Very disciplined. Very passionate. And it was there, in that rich, sort of spiritual sound, that Whitney first grasped the sheer power music could hold. The emotion.
And the house itself was like a nonstop music lesson. Ray Charles, Mahalia Jackson, always playing.
Yeah, but Sissy wasn't just playing records. She was teaching the nuts and bolts. Theory, vocal discipline. It wasn't just about hitting notes.
It was about the work.
Exactly. The dedication required.
And the signs were there early, weren't they? The biography mentions a school recital.
Oh, yeah. Young Whitney sings, and apparently the audience was just captivated. Stunned silence. A little glimpse of the future impact, maybe.
Wow. And she wasn't just singing in church. She was getting professional experience, too, singing backup.
Yeah, for people like Chaka Khan, Lou Rawls, imagine getting those insights into the industry, the demands, the reality of it all at that age.
Incredible grounding.
And the sources really stress the values her family instilled. Faith, hard work, integrity. You combine that with a natural gift.
Well, she was poised for something big. Okay, so you have this incredible foundation, this voice honed in church and backing up stars. How does that turn into, well, Whitney Houston, the global phenomenon? One name keeps coming up, Clive Davis.
Ah, Clive Davis,
yeah.
The legendary record producer, an industry titan. The biography describes him as having this almost uncanny knack for hearing potential.
And then crafting the path to stardom?
Meticulously, yeah.
So the meeting, the big one. Arista Records, it was an A&R rep, Jerry Griffith, who set it up.
Right, A&R, artists, and repertoire. The talent scouts, basically. Griffith had heard Whitney and was already, completely floored.
And then the audition for Davis himself, she sang The Greatest Love of All.
Yeah. And the book paints this vivid picture. Her voice just filling the room. Breathtaking clarity, warmth, perfect control, emotion. Davis was apparently just transfixed.
Didn't just hear a great voice.
No, he heard the voice. The superstar potential was just undeniable to him right then and there.
So the signing with Arista happened pretty fast after that.
Felt like it. A dream realized for her. And then began this really careful, meticulous process of recording the debut album, Whitney Houston, released February 85.
And Davis was heavily involved in guiding that.
Deeply involved.
Yeah.
Shaping it to showcase her voice perfectly.
And it wasn't just released, it kind of exploded, right? The impact was immediate. Critics loved it.
Oh, yeah. We found mentions like the New York Times just raving about her voice, saying it knew no bounds.
And the sales were just unprecedented. Topped the Billboard 200 for 14 weeks, non-consecutive.
Sold over 13 million just in the U.S., multi-platinum everywhere else. It wasn't just a hit record, it was a genuine cultural event.
And the singles, they showed off different sides, didn't they? Saving All My Love for You, the ballad queen.
Right. Then How Will I Know, pure pop energy. So infectious.
And greatest love of all, that powerhouse anthem.
Yeah, self-empowerment.
Yeah.
And Save All My Love for You got her the first Grammy.
And through all this initial whirlwind, the book paints her as having this amazing poise, charm, humility, but also undeniable star power.
You felt it. And you can't forget MTV's role here. Peak music video era.
Oh, totally.
Her charisma, her beauty, it was all right there in videos. Like, how will I know? That vibrant energy really helped solidify her as this modern rising icon.
Okay, so building on that huge debut, her second album, Whitney, 1987, that just cemented everything, didn't it? I Want to Dance with Somebody. You couldn't escape it.
No, you really couldn't. That album took her to a whole other level. And MTV was still huge for her, shaping her image not just as this incredible singer, but as a style icon too.
Yeah, late 80s fashion trendsetter. Her look became almost as iconic as the voice for a lot of people.
Right. And then came the first massive world tour. The biography talks about the scale of it. Just huge.
The demands must have been immense.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it really cemented her status as a global phenomenon, like truly worldwide.
And the sources mention that even with all that intensity, she kept this blend of like grace and authenticity in public.
Yeah, she seemed genuinely warm, connected, despite the craziness.
And then early 90s, The Bodyguard. That was a big step. Acting debut alongside Kevin Costner.
Ambitious, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how the book points out the parallels between her character, Rachel Marin, this superstar grappling with fame.
And her own life at that point.
Exactly. Kind of mirroring her reality.
The film itself got mixed reactions, I think.
Yeah, critics were divided, but the soundtrack, oh my goodness, that was a whole different story, a force of nature.
Over 45 million copies globally. That's staggering. One of the best-selling albums ever.
Just massive. And of course, the centerpiece, I Will Always Love You.
Her version of the Dolly Parton song, it wasn't just a hit, it was the hit. The biography talks about that incredible a cappella opening.
Chills.
Every time.
Yeah. And it became the best-selling single by a female artist ever at that time. An anthem. Love, Farewell, Everything.
Resonated everywhere. And other tracks like I'm Every Woman, Run to You. They just showed her range again.
All leading to this flood of awards. More Grammys for I Will Always Love You. Record of the Year. Best Female Pop Vocal Performance. This period just launched her into a completely different stratosphere. Fame, influence. She wasn't just a pop star anymore. She really was the voice of a generation. But the biography is pretty clear that with that kind of stratospheric success came immense pressure, relentless pressure.
Yeah, the period right after The Bodyguard, the book highlights that as when things started getting complicated, the shadows lengthened, maybe.
The media fascination just intensified, became almost predatory, tabloids digging into every single detail of her personal life.
Constant scrutiny, intense.
And right at the center of that media storm was her relationship with Bobby Brown. It was complex.
Yeah, the book describes their marriage as this magnet for public attention, often portrayed in these really extreme headline-grabbing ways.
Which sometimes felt, pretty far removed from their actual private dynamic.
The sources talk about how the media narrative around them got distorted, became more tabloid story than reality, focusing on the drama.
And trying to juggle the insane demands of her career, recording, touring, public appearances, with personal life, family, and this constant expectation to be flawless.
It became incredibly challenging.
The book really explores that duality, the public icon, Whitney Houston, superstar, versus the private person. That pressure created this internal struggle, didn't it? A longing for peace, for privacy, that just seemed impossible.
Yeah, finding peace in that spotlight must have felt impossible.
Though the sources do mention that music remained her solace, a way to express the complexity she was going through, even during the hard times.
But this period, it's marked in the biography as the start of really significant personal and professional challenges, taking a toll on her health, her well-being.
And that perfectionism that drove her career. It also added to the exhaustion, didn't it?
Yeah, this is where the story shifts towards the trials, the tribulations she faced. The biography doesn't frame her struggles with substance abuse as something sudden. It portrays it more as a tragic result, maybe, of all that pressure. The scrutiny, the lack of privacy, becoming a coping mechanism.
Possibly. A way to deal with it all. And the book explores how her relationship with Bobby Brown got tangled up in that, his own struggles, their shared vulnerability.
Sometimes leading to enabling behaviors, making it harder for either to get stable.
It seems that way, yeah, making things more difficult. And the impact on her career started to show.
Recording became harder. Her voice showed strain sometimes.
Yeah, canceled concerts, behavior that the tabloids just feasted on. It became constant fodder.
And public perception really shifted then, didn't it? From celebrating the talent to
focusing almost entirely on the struggles. The media narrative became about this star spiraling. It was quite harsh.
But the biography also really emphasizes her resilience, her determination to try and get back control. She sought treatment for addiction multiple times.
Right. And the sources describe recovery as this incredibly difficult, arduous process. Therapy, confronting deep issues, trying to achieve sobriety, distancing from negative influences.
Yeah.
It was a constant fight.
A really tough battle.
Definitely. But even amidst all that, she had these powerful comebacks in music. My Love Is Your Love in 98.
Yeah, that was a great album. Different sound, collaborations with Wyclef Jean, Missy Elliott.
Right. Connecting with a new generation, but still keeping her core fans. And the songs themselves.
It's not right, but it's okay. Heartbreak Hotel. They felt incredibly personal.
Totally. Themes of perseverance, self-worth, mirroring her own journey.
She went back to touring. And her later album, I Look to You, in 2009, that debuted at #1.
Yeah, themes of redemption, hope, very deliberate, it felt like.
And she kept working, collaborating. That duet with Mariah Carey, When You Believe.
For the Prince of Egypt, yeah. Won an Oscar. She kept finding ways to share that voice, that creativity, even through the toughest times.
So to really understand Whitney beyond the headlines, the biography brings in perspectives from people who are really close to her. That gives you a glimpse of the person behind the image.
Yeah, it's really illuminating. Anecdotes from people like Mary Jones, her longtime assistant and friend, talking about her infectious laugh, how it could just light up a room even when things were stressful.
Her cousin, Dionne Warwick, mentioned Whitney's generosity, how she'd quietly do things for others.
Right, like arranging surprises for kids at shelters, making people feel valued, seen.
And Robin Crawford, her manager and close friend for so many years,
spoke about Whitney's gift for making people feel truly heard, and her incredible loyalty to her inner circle.
Gospel legend CeCe Winans talked about their shared faith, didn't she? Praying together.
Yeah, revealing this deep spiritual side that wasn't always public. A source of strength for her.
The book really highlights that sense of family she built around her. Her band, her team. They weren't just staff.
No, they were her support system. An extended family, really.
And then there's the relationship with her mother, Cissy. Complex, but deep.
Absolutely. Cissy gave her that musical foundation, that discipline, which sometimes led to tension, high expectations.
But ultimately, the biography stresses it was a bond of deep love and respect.
Mm-hmm. And maybe her most cherished role, according to the book, being a mother to Bobby and Christina Brown.
Described as a beacon of love for Whitney, a source of joy, that bond was incredibly deep, despite all the public scrutiny.
Yeah, a real anchor for her.
And the family, they showed incredible unity through it all, didn't they? And continue to in preserving her legacy.
Definitely. Cissy Houston especially, taking on that very difficult role of being the steward of Whitney's memory after she passed.
So when we step back and look at her artistry, what really sets her apart, the biography spends a lot of time on her vocal technique.
As it should. That incredible, 3-octave range.
Mm-hmm.
The control, the versatility across genres, gospel, pop, R&B.
The breath support, the way she could just convey such deep emotion, all rooted in that gospel beginning.
Yeah, that foundation was everything. And her influence on other singers.
Yeah.
It's just undeniable. She set a whole new standard, especially for female vocalists.
You hear it everywhere. Artists who directly credit her. Mariah Carey talking about Whitney influencing her vocal runs, her melisma.
Right. Beyonce citing Whitney's strength, her power, her stage presence as massive inspirations.
Adele, too. Talking about connecting with that raw emotive power, that ability to make you feel it.
Absolutely. And her impact wasn't just vocal. She broke down barriers. Racial barriers, genre barriers in the industry.
Especially on MTV, right? Being one of the first Black female artists in heavy rotation there. That was huge.
Huge. It paved the way for so many artists who came after her.
And her influence went into film too. The Bodyguard, Waiting to Exhale, helping push for more inclusive stories in Hollywood.
Yeah, she opened doors there too. And the book mentions her philanthropy. The Whitney Houston Foundation for Children shows that compassionate side.
Which didn't always get the spotlight it deserved.
No, definitely not. She really became this symbol, didn't she? Empowerment, resilience, authenticity, especially for young women, people of color.
Yeah. And the tributes after her death, February 11, 2012, they were just immense worldwide.
They were. And it also sparked this reevaluation of her story, including the media's role, which was often the complex and damaging.
The sensationalism, the intrusive reporting, it distorted the narrative so much.
It really did. The sources touch briefly on the official cause of death: accidental drowning, heart disease, cocaine use. A stark reminder of the struggles.
Yeah, a tragic end. But the focus, rightly, keeps coming back to the enduring power of her spirit, her artistry.
That music. It just continues to resonate, doesn't it? New generations discover it. Those anthems of love, empowerment, resilience still connect. Her voice was silenced way too soon, but it absolutely lives on.
Wow. Yeah, going through the biography gives you such a full picture. An artist with just unparalleled talent, a cultural force, broke barriers, but also a woman who faces immense personal challenges, and yet a symbol of resilience. Her voice, her story, still inspiring millions.
It is a lot to take in. The highs were just unbelievably high, and the lows were so public, so heartbreaking.
So, for you listening, why does Whitney's story still resonate today? What hits home for you about dealing with intense pressure or that struggle to be authentic when the world expects you to be something else?
Yeah, her life wasn't just about the chart hits and the awards, you know. It's a deeply human story about the cost of that level of fame, the demands it places on a person.
It makes you think, doesn't it? Considering the incredible heights she reached, those unique pressures she faced, how does her life make us think about the real cost of achieving greatness in the public eye? And maybe where do we find genuine peace when it feels like the whole world is watching, something to mull over?